Good morning. It is Monday, March 20th, day 17 of Lent. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Father Patrick from St. Paul's Episcopal Church, and we are continuing our study on Romans. Today we're talking about chapter 7. We're actually finishing chapter 7, verses 14 through 25. My Bible calls it the inner conflict. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am of the flesh, sold into slavery under sin. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree that the law is good. But in fact, it is no longer I that do it, but the sin that dwells within me. For I know that nothing good dwells within me, that is, in my flesh. I can will what is right, but I cannot do it. For I do not do the good thing I want, but the evil thing I do not want is what I do. Now, if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I that do it, but sin that dwells within me. So I find it to be a law that when I do what I want to do what is good, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inmost self. But I see in my members another law at war with the law of my mind, making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. Wretched man that I am! Who will rescue me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then, with my mind I am a slave to the law of God, but with my flesh I am a slave to the law of sin. So we have here this distinction between the flesh and the law and the good and the evil. There's a lot of dichotomy here. And what Paul is doing here is he's setting up himself so that he can slam dunk in chapter 8 this question of what does my evilness, or what does the sin that is within me, what does it mean as far as my relationship with God? And he goes into this first person, oh, woe is me, I can't ever do what I want to do. I end up doing the evil that I don't want to do, and I'm a so wretched man that I am. When we look at Romans as a compendium of Christian doctrine, this is the section about total depravity. That total depravity is a doctrine that comes from the Augustinian theology of original sin. That is the idea that because of Adam, we all have sin within us, which sounds very Pauline. But total depravity also takes that a step further. This is very popular among reform modes of theology, like Calvinists. And they believe that humanity is actually unable to choose to do good. That we are so, apart from what Christ has done, humanity is so kind of infected by sin that it is impossible for us to choose good. In the Episcopal Church, there are some who believe that, but most of us would say that that the sin that is within us is very very real, but we do actually have the power to choose good. We just often fail at doing that. So it's kind of a little bit of a gray area there. But we can also read this in a slightly different way. The main question, or the main thing that you get the total depravity idea from, is verse 18, where it says, "For I know that nothing good dwells within me, that is in my flesh." That's how the New Revised Standard Version translate it. But the Greek, if you read it a little bit more literally and kind of do a little bit different translation, and you find this in the New International Version, this is a Greek word of the day. The Greek word of the day is agathos, which means the good. The name Agatha means good one, and it comes from this Greek word agathos. We can translate that sentence, can be, because of word order and everything, it can either be, "For I know that nothing good dwells within me," or it can be, "For I know that the good does not dwell within me." And there's a little bit of a difference there, right? If you're saying, "For I know that nothing good dwells within me," then you're saying there's literally nothing good within me. But if you're saying, "For I know that the good does not dwell within me," then it actually references back a little bit better to what he was talking about earlier on in chapter 7, this idea that the law is a good thing. Maybe when he says the good, he is referencing the law, and he's saying, listen, I am aware of the fact that the law, which is this good thing that sin sometimes uses to trick humanity into doing evil, I know that it is good, but the fact of the matter is that it is not within me. And so it's this external force that sometimes has power over me and sometimes doesn't. So maybe there's a better way to understand that by saying it's not that we're not good at all. It is that the power of goodness that God creates in the law isn't something that's within us, it's external. And so we need ... somebody to help, right? We need God to have done something. And that's what we get to in chapter 8. So thought of the day. What's the thought of the day? This is more of an academic question. All of this whole section leads to this question that Paul is setting up. Why in the world would God give us a law that is able to be, that he understands is going to be used and perverted by sin? Why is that even something that exists? That's a little question for reflection. Why would God give us the law? What is the purpose of the law? And ultimately, it begs the question that'll be answered in chapters 9 through 11. What is the purpose of the Jewish people, those who have not accepted Christ? So take that. Have a happy and a holy Lent. This is the beginning of a new week of Lent. May your March 20th be beautiful and wonderful, and may you have a happy and a holy Lent. We'll see you tomorrow.